Welcome back to another Nancy Drew travel series video. I'm Emily, and if you're in a YouTube rabbit hole and don't know how you got here, this is a series where I recreate my favorite video games from childhood and, well, adulthood as real-life vacations. If that sounds really cool, then keep watching because it is. And if not, bye! Now, I don't want to repeat the same spiel in every video, but Nancy Drew Games by Her Interactive follow Nancy as she solves mysteries in over 30 unique locations, and I'm going to every single one. But this is only episode 2 of the series, so don't ask me how I'm getting inside of an active volcano for game 15. Fortunately for this episode, I only had to get onto a moving train and into an abandoned mine shaft.
What's it like to finally work with Frank and Joe Hardy?
He called Tino a moron. She started calling him a crackpot.
They were ready to tear each other to shreds.
Better not mess with that puppy. And then he started calling her a hack.
If he's the one who finds that mine, I'll eat my laptop.
Mama! Dear Hannah, here I am at the railroad station along with a handful of other detectives about to board a train bound for who knows where.
This episode begins with my family receiving an invitation to a wedding in Colorado and a conveniently timed concert in Nevada. Nancy Drew fans will recognize this combination of locations instantly as the two settings of game number 13, Last Train to Blue Moon Canyon, which immediately sent off the travel video alarms in my head. This unique game sees Nancy traversing the United States on a train in search of a lost gold mine. In the editing process of this video, I was reminded that the game is incredibly cinematic with over-the-top characters, numerous cutscenes, and a unique linear structure enforced by the train hurtling towards its final destination that is unlike any other game in the series. So, sit back and enjoy as I unfold the real-life experience and spoil almost every single thing that happens in this fan-favorite game.
Wish me luck. Love, Nancy.
First, let's meet the gang.
Now that our little orientation tour is over, let's get started. Okay, I, again, am Lori Gerard. I like parties. Oh, I knew you could do it, Francie.
He led you to an outhouse?
What he found was definitely not gold. And the first thing I want to do is thank you all for coming. John Gray. I am so thrilled that you're taking time out from that TV show of yours to do some ghost hunting here with us.
My vibes are never wrong. Charlene Purcell writes romance novels. End of comment. Don't do that, please! People should never go tampering with things they don't understand.
And Charlene Purcell. I cannot tell you how much I adore those romance novels you write.
Oh, brother. Don't be a ninny. Of course I don't have any duct tape. What do I look like, a hardware store? Imagine that, me having fans way out here in the boonies. If I don't seem concerned, it's because I'm not.
You don't remember me, do you?
No. You can afford to look foolish, dear. I can't.
And Tino Balducci. Only the most famous police detective in the country.
2 words. Useless. I'll get to the bottom of this. I'm a low-key kind of guy.
And then there's Frank and Joe Hardy. They're amateur detectives. My dad and their dad are old friends.
If you get my drift.
I get your drift, Joe. I have lived with your drift for years. I am saddled with your drift.
All right, all right.
I'm on the job here, Junior.
Joe, let it go.
And you must be the other amateur detective, their friend? Natalie?
Nancy Drew?
Whatever. All right, I'll bet you're wondering where we're going. Well, we're going to Copper Gorge, Colorado. Why? To solve the mystery of what happened to Jake Hurley, the man who originally owned this train.
Now that we've set the stage in-game, let me set the stage in real life. There is no 19th century private train that travels from Chicago to the West Coast. And there is no Copper Gorge, Colorado. There is no Blue Moon Canyon, Nevada. And there is no real Jake Hurley. Even though the game includes an historical plotline, the focus of the game is truly just a fun puzzle adventure and far less serious than other games. So unlike my last video, there will be less historical information. But all across the Midwest are small mining towns, historic railroads, and abandoned mine tours. And we're going to them. This is the fictional Jake Hurley.
Is this Jake and his wife?
This part where Nancy asks about the photo is one of me and my sister's vocal stems. We made up a song that goes like this.
This Jake and his wife. This Jake and his wife.
Anyways, if you were to recreate this trip on your own, you could go to almost any region in the mid to southwestern area of the country. In fact, Jake Hurley even leaves a list of them in one of his puzzles.
Calico, Silverado, and Central City, to Dodge City, Virginia City, and Tombstone.
There's many options, but in Emily's version, instead of Copper Gorge, we go to Copper George. No, we go to Gorgetown. No, we go to Georgetown, Colorado. Coming all the way from California, we decided to road trip this one, but the scenic views of the drive reminded me of the scenic views you would get from a train. And for someone flying to Denver, it's still close to the city and convenient to access Georgetown. Full disclosure, my family actually used to live in Colorado. We had a lot of old favorite foods and spots that we've been before to choose from. And since not everyone in my family was down to take a multi-day train trip, we settled on the Georgetown Loop, a 50-minute ride through the mountainous area outside of town.
Train, 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 train.
We decided to get the cheapest coach car tickets because the parlor car tickets are sold by the table and only include 4 seats. But we had 5 people. Just one too many to fit. Although my research does show that if you want to get a slightly fancier ticket, they actually have a bit more resemblance to the luxury of Jake Hurley's train. Still, our tickets included free hot chocolate afterwards, and it started snowing halfway through, which was magical. And unlike the game, the engineer isn't a jerk.
Engineer, what do you want? You ask me, anybody that stupid has no business being on a train, or anywhere else for that matter.
But
now if you'll excuse me, I got me a train to run.
The train route for the Georgetown Loop was decorated with a few things lingering from Christmas, but they do seasonally themed rides year-round. Though you're not going to see Camille's ghost out of the window, you might see Bigfoot. We ended up visiting the gift shop where I got another postcard, and after we took the loop, we had a little time to explore Georgetown and its historic scenery. It was a perfect place to get the feeling of Copper George. Copper Gorge! I could picture Buell sitting right there in the middle of town. It never ceases to amaze me how the game developers capture the atmosphere of their chosen location so well. Maybe because it's a video game, I'm always expecting more unrealistic elements, but one thing they do not miss is the precise vibe of what Charlena calls the boonies. It's isolated, not in a spooky way like some of the other games. A mountain town has rugged scenery, family-run shops, and friendly, albeit uninhibited by social norms, people. Speaking of uninhibited by social norms people, this is where you find out there's some characters I didn't mention in the beginning of the video. They aren't suspects, but there's a few new faces to meet in Copper Gorge after the train makes its first stop. Well, actually, none of them really show their faces. Viewers meet
Fatima, with an F. None of that weirdo PH stuff. But remember, Susie Q, don't touch coconuts.
In addition to this notorious Copper Gorgian who can fall asleep standing up,
Oops, sounds like somebody's taking a nap.
we also get to meet the creepiest person ever.
But if you do go into the crypt, just remember, you won't be alone.
And finally, we get to meet the train engineer's great-great-grandson, with whom the fate of the entire mystery lies.
Oh, they didn't call him Crazy Jake Hurley for nothing. Speaking of crazy, you see how much Abner's charging for a haircut at that shop of his now? $20!
And luckily, he went out for lunch at the exact right moment that Nancy arrived.
This is what Crazy Jake Hurley told Granddad, word for word.
Lots of fun antics happen in Copper Gorge Town, both virtually and while we were there exploring in real life, including the most important part of this whole mystery.
Cheeseburger.
We actually headed over to the nearby town of Idaho Springs to visit an old family favorite, Buffalo Bar. My family's been going there since the 90s, so it's safe to say it's changed a bit. But the food still smacks, and none of their burgers feature peanut butter and anchovies. Idaho Springs is a similarly fun mountain town to explore with great food and shops. And here, we take a moment for some of the other amazing foods we enjoyed throughout the trip. Fortunately, Nancy gets all the items and information she needs from places and people that are hundreds of years old and luckily are still perfectly intact. She gets all those things from Copper Gorge and is able to find the location of Jake's mine, which leads us to one of the most ridiculous cutscenes Nancy ever puts us through. And then she heads on her way to Jake's mine.
All aboard!
Our way out from the mountains to the desert, we passed through Arches National Park in Utah. It's beautiful. And to my delight, there were train tracks all along the highway next to Arches, which makes me feel like that's definitely where Jake Hurley's train would have passed through on this little montage. Now, Nancy's map makes it look a bit more like she goes to Reno, but in Emily's version, we're gonna go to the absolutely awesome El Dorado Canyon Mine in Nelson, Nevada. And since it still has the name Canyon in it, it's perfect.
Mine.
This mine is not hidden. It's actually found in a surprisingly iconic location. Home to only 4 residents, this little near ghost town boasts appearances in tons of movies and music videos, with many major and minor celebrities passing through.
I just think she couldn't resist showing off in front of all of us minor celebrities.
They don't keep a running list online, but I think I recall from the tour Kevin Costner, Kurt Russell, the Jonas Brothers, and the Killers off the top of my head. Probably because of its proximity to Las Vegas, where any detectives who want to make a Blue Moon themed trip can easily get to and find a million fun things to see, eat, and drink. Speaking of celebrities, did I mention that Jake Hurley secretly knew a ton of famous people? This subtle plot point about Jake's relationship to historical celebrities and important figures makes El Dorado the perfect place to learn about mining history through the lens of Nancy Drew. Obviously, we have the scene with the Samuel Clemens letter, which leads Joe to say his comical line.
I still don't see what the big deal is. I mean, it's not like it's from Mark Twain or anything. What?
And the Abe Lincoln letter is the big reveal at the end.
Your humble friend, Abe. Oh my gosh, this is from Abraham Lincoln.
But I never hear anybody talking about the Thomas Wilson letter. Though he's certainly less famous than the other two, Nancy doesn't make a single comment about the fact that Jake was friends with the guy who patented the creation of calcium carbide for use in mining lamps. We even saw a real one at the El Dorado main office. Now, we recommend getting the full tour here. As the sign says, you will need to get permission to explore, lest you face some dire consequences. So might as well do it with the guide. And you should note there's a very specific dress code policy. Finally, if you do go for a full tour, make sure to ask for the tour with Bruce. You won't regret it. Just take it from this Yelp review I found. We learned everything from him. Unlike Jake's mine, this was actually the richest gold mine in Nevada, a state where something like 70% of America's gold mining takes place. Very fitting choice of location for her interactive. Good job. So, how did the miners decide where to start digging for gold? I never knew this, but quartz veins, visible on the surface of rocks, indicate the possible presence of precious metals. And who lived on this land? Well, that's one element left completely unexplored by Nancy Drew. How did Jake get this land when we know mines like El Dorado had a Native American presence that deeply impacted mining history? The area was originally inhabited by Mojave and Paiute tribes, and the original name for the mine was Tachatacup, meaning hungry and or bread in Paiute language. So how long was the mine operational? Well, it was running until 1942. It closed down due to flooding and just never reopened. Surprising nothing like that ever happened to Jake's mine, but I guess over time, the water could have drained out. Lastly, how did they avoid dying when blowing things up? Well, they had a technique for that. The mine was full of dangers. Falling.
Whoa!
Carbon monoxide. Cave-ins.
Now how am I gonna get out of here?
Explosions. Some of them ended up like this guy.
Jake Hurley, I presume?
This whole tour experience was just as hilarious and adventurous as the game itself. In the game, it feels like a huge payoff to finally find the mine after all that searching. And this experience gave me that same feeling of excitement and reward. To finish it off, we went back to Las Vegas to rub elbows with some celebrities ourselves. Do you think she noticed us? Do you think she saw us? Needless to say, this is a trip I would do 100 times over. Yes, if you saw that between locations, I was suddenly traveling with different people. No, you didn't. Then again, maybe the real travel video was the friends we made along the way.
As for Jake Hurley, it turns out that his letter from Abe Lincoln is worth a small fortune. Pretty ironic, huh? Jake spent his whole life searching for gold, when all along he possessed something far more valuable: his uncanny knack for making friends.
It doesn't appear that anyone aboard this train is her friend.
Maybe she doesn't have any friends.
Wouldn't be surprised.
Love, Nancy.